We welcome you to another live edition of The Sports Box, your go-to sports podcast featuring great content, conversation, and your occasional disagreement. Stick around to interact and ask questions. Ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime.
Kids, there are just 3 football games left in the NFL season for this year. 2 of them are this afternoon. Sportsbox NFL Sunday pregame for Championship Sunday. Leading you into the games this afternoon, Brian Attard, Tony Quigley, Anthony Medio, and Drew Trammell will be going through the losers from last week, eulogizing the teams that didn't make it this far, previewing the games today, talking about the coaching carousel. And really, we're not that far from the offseason, but really the NFL season never stops. So you can... We'll have some fun over the summer as well. Gentlemen, how's everybody doing today? I know everybody was fired up at the Royal Rumble last night, especially Tony Quigley.
Oh, is that what Vince McMahon calls his bedroom? Listen, if you're going to talk wrestling, we're going to talk about that. Come on now. Let's go. And I ain't mentioning Carter Hart either. So, I mean.
Well, he was one of 5. So.
Does that make it right?
No, I'm just saying.
Oh, it's a gang rape, but don't make it. It's fine.
We'll listen.
That's the Epstein Island rule. If everybody's doing it, it's right.
Right. No,
Welcome to Sports Box.
That's it. It's afternoon. We're out of our element. We're normally in 10:30, 11 in the morning. Now we're in the afternoon, so we're
Yeah, I'm still fired up from pre-workout.
There you go. It is Championship Sunday. Two big games we're going to break down in a little while here, but I want to take a look, obviously, first at the teams who had a chance to get here last week and did not. Where are those teams? What do they have? What's their offseason look like? What's next season look like for them? And we'll start that off with the Houston Texans, who lost to the Baltimore Ravens last weekend. Very much a surprise year in a lot of ways. They went and drafted CJ Stroud. That's looking like it's going to work out very, very well. Their defense played well. The D'Amico Ryans coming in as a brand new head coach. You can't ask for much more. They won their division. Some of that was Jacksonville choking on it, but credit to Houston, they did win their division, and they got a playoff win. So where do you see Houston coming in for next season? What do they need to address? Actually, they have the draft pick in the first round, but I'll have picks other than that.
You want me to start it off? I'll start it off. Listen, Houston. Houston has the dreaded word now, right? This is a nice surprise team. It's a great story. CJ Stroud exceeded everybody's hopes and dreams for what they're doing. Singletary looked good. Their receivers look phenomenal. Tank Dell is going to come back healthy. He was great. And you got Nico Collins that showed that he's definitely a top tier wide receiver in the NFL. But here's the problem. Expectations, right? The dreaded word, expectations. Now you're coming in with the number 1 schedule. You're going to come in with expectation that you're supposed to win, and it's going to see how this team could, come up and meet those expectations. And that's the thing where you see a lot of these nice stories, these 1 year kind of sweethearts, and then they kind of fade away. And so it's going to see if this is actually a starting point for them to build on, or is this just a nice story and the wheels are going to fall out because now people are prepared with them. They got a tougher schedule, so on and so forth.
Yeah, right, Tone, you're correct. But yeah, nothing to hang their heads on here for the Texans this year. Like Brian said, really exceeded expectations. They hit a home run in all aspects, the coaching, quarterback, defensive players with Stingley and Anderson. So it's going to be interesting to see how far they could take it with this team. It's actually good because it's an attraction too. If free agents want to go play with these guys. So I think Houston's on the up. You talked about Singletary. I thought that was a really big pickup that they got. You saw he took over the back on the team. So I think the Texans are going to be good for a while.
Just quick few things that they can work on is the right side of the offensive line. Improve that mightily. They got a good left tackle in Tunsil, the guy with the weed mask. He's turned out to be a great freaking player. So it's a good trade by them when they traded with Miami. So just improve the offensive line on the right side. It doesn't hurt to get another buddy over there to help out Anderson on the defensive side for a pass rush. You still got these 2 guys on rookie deals. So I expect Cesario, the GM of the Houston Texans, to take advantage of those 2 rookie contracts that they have for the next 3 to 4 years, or 3 to 5. So it's a multitude of things that they can plug in for holes. I think the biggest thing that Tony Quigg alluded to is just making sure CJ Stroud doesn't have a sophomore slump. I would like to see him retain Slowick, so he could be underneath that offense for another year. But there's things that he can improve on. There's things that everybody can improve on. So hopefully it's consistency for the rookie that goes into his second year.
Yeah, Drew, and there's going to be a ton of running backs out there in the market, and I think they'll be in play. They didn't like Damian Pierce, so I think they'll be in play for some of these big running backs. And if they could get any kind of real legit power running game, I think they're a really tough team. So I expect them to be in the market for a running back.
Yeah, I agree.
I think what's interesting about them is it's not just expectations on them that they're setting; it's expectations for rebuilds on other teams, right? Because this is a team with that they earned the 2nd overall pick in the draft last year, right? They didn't trade up for that one; they had that one, right? So they were the 2nd worst team by record in the league 2 seasons ago, or last season, I should say. So for these teams that are taking their sweet time, which, again, I'm okay with that approach. But when you look at a team like Houston that can turn it on just like that, they've overturned – the Casario's going there and really overturned that roster. I think the number was there's like 7 players that are still there from when he got there. So when you're aggressive and you make those moves, listen, we were in the draft show and we said that's not a good deal for them to give up the future one because we all thought they'd be bad this year. So we all thought they were giving up a future really high one. That ended up being Carolina that did that. Right? So – it isn't just their own roster's expectations that they're going to have to set next year. It's just these teams that are high in the draft this year. Again, the Washingtons, the New Englands of the world, even the Giants to an extent, where you haven't, even Arizona, where you haven't been good, but other teams have gone and turned it around in record time. So listen, great job by the coaching staff. I don't think anybody thought they were going to win their division this year. I'm as wrong as anyone.
The one thing that you have to be really aware of is, and I know you mentioned signing a running back and stuff like that. I think that would be a huge mistake, but because you don't want to try to accelerate this. All of a sudden we're good and go off the fundamentals and lose those building blocks that got you to this nice season. Stay focused. Singletary is a playoff running back. He did a good job. Don't go out there and try to get a quick hit and try to sign Derrick Henry or some asinine kind of thing like that. Stay true to form. You're building in the right direction. Don't go out there and make some splash signing to try to chase something. If you want to do a big signing, grab an offensive lineman or something like that. That's going to be a core to your team to kind of build your young players. You don't need a receiver. I don't think they need a running back. Your secondary. I mean, although Amari Cooper lit them up in the regular season, they actually rebounded nicely in that game. So, I mean, add pieces to make a winning team. Don't try to go for that splashy signing to kind of try to elevate you into the next stratosphere. Build slow and build smart.
They do have a ton of cap space next year with pretty much a full roster. Yeah. So, I mean, they're in a very, very, very good position. But here's the thing, though.
Same as Jacksonville the other year. Yeah. And I don't know,
But there's going to be that internal, again, you have the quarterback on the rookie deal. And when the quarterback's off the rookie deal, it gets so much harder to win because now you just have less money to work with, right? So you're going to have that internal, we got a window here where we have this kid at this low contract where we should be going for it, right? So that's that push and pull. Like, I agree with you. If I'm going to spend the money, I'm going to spend it in places that it's going to be most effective. Yeah. Again, getting more offensive line, getting elite corner help. Like, that's what's going to help your quarterback the most, right? You can get running back production cheaply. It's not hard to do. I'd like to see him be aggressive targetedly and surgically, not, again, here's a running back we can sign. We have the money. Let's just do it.
But if a veteran running back is on the cheap end, you can afford that. It's not a splash signing. I'm not saying to sign Derrick Henry to a 3-year crazy deal. I mean, you can get an Antonio Gibson that might be better than a Damian Pierce who regressed and had trouble understanding this offense. So, you can find a running back like a Corum from Michigan that can fit them in the third or fourth or fifth round. So, I mean, there's guys you can add. I'm not saying make a splashy sign.
Right.
Find a guy for a 1-2 punch it takes some pressure off your quarterback. That's all I think Ann and I were alluding
Yeah,
to.
and one of the big things too, as I mentioned earlier, the schedule that they're going to have next year. They're going to play a top tier schedule, and also the thing that might sign them is their division. It isn't really the strongest. I mean, Tennessee. We'll see what they do with the quarterback position. You got the Colts. That they probably should have actually been the ones who who excel, but that just didn't happen. They still have Minshew because Richardson got hurt, so that's going to be interesting to see what they have going on there. And then and then you have Jacksonville, who's supposed to be the upswing. I'm going to go out on a limb and say with this new schedule and that they're going to have with a top tier and a healthy Richardson and Jacksonville, I don't think they'd win the division next year, and they're going to struggle to make the playoffs because if you look at their matchups for next year, they're at Green Bay, which is never fun. You see what Jordan Love did. You have they're playing the Bulls this next year. They're playing the Dolphins next year. They're playing the Lions next year. They're playing Dallas next year. They're playing Baltimore next year. They're playing the Chiefs next year. I mean, this is a team that I'm not going to say it's just one of them things where it's nice, but next year's schedule gets real hard, and it's going to be a test to see. CJ Stroud, who I wasn't high on, give him all the credit in the world, did a great job. It's going to be a test to see if they're for real or not next year. I don't think they make the playoffs with that schedule.
I kind of agree. It'd be interesting to see what the odds are of them when it comes out of them making the playoffs. Because you're right, that division is going to be closer with Richardson coming back. It's going to be interesting to see how the Colts are. And Jacksonville still got talent. I mean, I think they'll be able to figure out at some point. So, it's
probably most interesting division next year.
Yeah. Do you think it's possible? And I said this about actually the Giants this year, and I'm totally wrong. Where I said the team could be better, but the record could be worse just because of that. Where Houston could get better, but just by the nature of the fact this is the draw and who you're playing against, that the wins and losses don't show it.
You see it all the time.
Yeah.
That's why the offseason is so important.
Yeah. Look, again, they can be tactically aggressive. It just depends where. And I think it's got to be the right fit. I wouldn't rush anything again, but you should strike while the iron's hot. Again, if you have a team that you think can contend, you do need to take your shots.
Yeah, and you got all the money, like you said. You have the assets.
Josh McMurray, $70 million in cap space for tight. We need an O-line bad. The Tennessee needs a lot of things, but yes, that would be supremely helpful for that roster moving forward.
Good start.
Tony, you brought up the Green Bay Packers, who, they had the Niners on the ropes. They had them. I mean, whether they should have been there, you could talk about Dallas playing terribly, whatever, fine, the different week. But they had the Niners and they let them off the hook, to quote Dennis Green, right? So a lot to like about what you saw from them this year. Although, again, I don't know how much that was a result of their schedule. We'll see where that goes. But it's definitely it's a new day in Green Bay, and this is their quarterback moving forward. And it's the youngest team in the league, so they're in a good position. They didn't end up not getting the one for Aaron Rodgers that they thought they would get, just didn't play because he got hurt. But they're in a division now where Minnesota is still up in the air. The Bears are again picking first. They're going to pick first overall this year, allegedly. And Detroit's Detroit. So where you look at to see, where do you see the Packers?
I don't like where I see the Packers, to be honest with you. Yeah, you're right. They have a young roster, and the quarterback really start playing really well in the second half of the season and into the playoffs. So, as a Bears fan, I don't really like to see it. I like to see the Packers fail. So it's going to be interesting to see. But with the scheduling next year also. So, as a fan of the Bears, I don't like what I see from the Packers. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
It's a young team. Jordan Love, his stats the last I think it was the last 9 or 10 games. I said it on Tuesday. 14 touchdowns, 3 picks. So he figured it out. Those 2 picks, obviously one of them wasn't on him against San Francisco, where Kraft or the other tight end missed the ball. That should have been an easy catch for him. And then the last throw was absolutely horrendous. We talked about it last Sunday. But the team has a bright future. It seems to me that if Jordan Love could put this all together in a full season, then the sky's the limit for that potential for that team. One little piece I would add on to it would be what's the what's the answer for Christian Watson? Because once again, another injury-filled season for him. You need to have is Romeo Doubs the guy? It seems like he was in the postseason. So might need a piece there. I think running back might be a situation with Aaron Jones, but I mean, I don't know their cap situation. I haven't really looked at their team thoroughly, but the future's bright. The future's absolutely bright for Green Bay. If Jordan Love is the guy and he could put the season together like he did the last 9 games, if he could do an entire season like that, they could be productive.
Packers are a smidge over the cap right now, but again, Bakhtiari may or may not be back. Older player, you kind of see where that goes. You had asked about Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones has a $17 million cap number next year, and then it starts to get into void years. He only has 8.2 this year. So again, that's an interesting one to see where they go with that. They've generally not been a team that keeps these guys long into their career. I mean, Aaron Rodgers was kind of critical about them for that, right? So wouldn't surprise me at all if that's been the last you've seen of Aaron Jones and they could look in the draft for a running back. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
That would be nice spots for him. The biggest thing that I came out from Green Bay, not really even the Jordan Love development, is Matt LaFleur. I mean, he really had a great game plan for San Francisco, and what he did to Dallas was pretty much completely out-schemed them. They did what they needed to do to win, and he shows like he's a coach that can do that. And I kind of give him credit because I had question marks about him. Like I think a lot of other people did. And but he's shown that he could make the adjustments and make the game plan up to provide a winning football team. They were grossly outmatched versus the 49ers, and they should have been outmatched against the Cowboys. And he did what he did to Dallas, and they should have won the game against the San Francisco 49ers. But it shows he's capable of getting the job done, unlike his predecessor who could only do it with Rodgers and Favre. But so yeah, to bring up Drew's point about Christian Watson, dead weight, man. I don't really think they have in the future for him. And you mentioned, he was injured this year, but he was healthy a lot, and you wouldn't even know he was healthy because he was unproductive. So I think they have a decent young receiving core there. Luke Musgrave seems like a solid tight end that could do something for him. So they have some pieces in place that I think they is going to keep that in contention. And Jordan Love doing it a full season, he did it from week 11 on, including 2 playoff games. So I mean that's a nice chunk of season. I still stand by. I think most people stand by. Like I don't think he was the right pick at the right time, but he's kind of had that development now. And there's something to say that I think people maybe in the NFL need to take a hard look at. Guys like Jordan Love sitting for a little bit and developing instead of throwing people into the fire. In these instant results. I mean, look at Bryce Young out in Carolina. There's no reason why he should have played the whole season. I mean, he needs a lot of development. He needs a lot. Because for every CJ Stroud, there's 4 or 5 busts that don't excel in their situation. So,
interesting thing, Tony, to look into this offseason is the contract of Jordan Love, because I believe this was his 5th year option?
Not 5. He's not 5th year. It's not his
4th. At least his 4th. Right?
4th.
So he is signed next year. He is signed next year with a cap number of 12.7, and then the rest are void years, so they'll have to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, look, you would think they're going to sign him this offseason, right? You would think money's coming.
You're going to have to make a decision soon.
It is, but we'll disagree, and that's fine. I still think it is a big risk to give the kid the big deal off of 1 year, right? I mean, I thought it was a risk for the Eagles to give Hurts the deal, and I think that's.
But if he has another solid year, that number's going to go up higher.
But I get that, but that's the risk that you take, right? Is do you commit to him long term only to find out you shouldn't have? So Daniel Jones had a good statistical year last year. Well, the year before, you know what I mean, last season, and you got a deal based on it. And we said, well, I mean, look, they didn't really play anybody, like whatever. That turned out to be pretty awful this year, right? Again, Jalen Hurts also regressed coming off of a really easy schedule last season, a little harder this year. Offense struggled, coordinators, whatever. But again, you're not getting, elite production out of them. So that's always the risk that you have is when you get these deals and you lock them in, then to get out of them later can be very punitive. They may not have a choice, but that's the choice they gave themselves by not playing him prior to his age, 25 season.
That's why GMs love the franchise tag.
Sure, but that's a huge number now too.
Well, I mean, listen, if they're at a number now where a 12-5, they're going to get a full season out of them. Wait and see, because it's only going to go up, right? I mean, if you extend them now and it's a bust, then buyer beware. But if he comes out and plays lights out like he did the second half of the season, you're going to be glad to pay him that. I mean, he was first in QBR and all this other bullshit, and won a huge playoff game. So you're going to be glad to re-sign him, because if he does do it 2 years in a row or a year and a half, including playoffs, you're happy because you got your guy. And I think that's what every NFL franchise is looking for, is to get their guy.
1,000%.
Go from Green Bay to Tampa Bay, who won their division, won a playoff game. Their opposition was kind of terrible. Lost last week in Detroit. It sounds like they want to make Baker their guy, at least for next year, maybe a couple years into the future. Could that be a reclamation project that works out? We'll find out. But that's a team who we thought was kind of going to, really crash and burn after Tom left. It hasn't really materialized. Again, not that the NFC South is, this juggernaut of our division, but they did win it. So credit to them. I don't think by any means they're an NFC contender, even a weak NFC. But I mean, they've proven they can make the playoffs now. 3 years in a row in the division? 3 years in a row.
Weak division, solid defense though. Good receiving core. I think the offensive scheme that they had in place was the correct matchup for the players that they have, the talent. They didn't try to run White too often, but they used him out of the backfield with success.
Mm-hmm.
Buyer beware with Baker. I mean, I think this is his apex of what he could do for a franchise. If they're going to try to do some investment or anything like that in them, I think they'd be crazy. I don't know what pick they have in the draft, because I would be looking to try to grab a first round quarterback.
Tampa is picking 26th.
Yeah, so I mean, you're looking to try to maybe hit a home run on quarterback. What's that?
Bo Nix.
If JJ McCarthy falls for some reason, which I don't think he will, but those are the kind of guys, But like a Knicks or
I like that idea. It's a good idea.
I think you're still wait and see on Baker, because bad division, phenomenal receiving core. I'm not investing long term in him, that's for sure.
So speaking of that receiving core, right?
He's going to lose
Mike Evans in Tampa.
Yeah, Mike Evans won't be there, but I mean, you still
nope.
But if you look at what they did to Philly, Evans didn't really have a catch. Godwin was still there, and they had some young guys and more and that stuff like that they got production out of. Kate Otten seems like he's the real deal at tight end. So it's not a done deal that Evans leaves either. I mean, he's spent his whole career there. He had a successful season, again. So it's not a done deal that he leaves.
I'll go.
Okay.
Oh man. Yeah. Baker had a great year under Canales, who just got hired at the Carolina job because no one effing wanted it. So we're gonna see how he does with Carolina. I mean, I'm rooting for the guy because I think it was funny through the negotiations. I think he only took it because it was a 6-year deal. That's the only reason why he took it. There was like rumors coming out of that. It was kind of crazy to me. I don't know if that's true or not. But him losing Canales, I think is going to hurt a little bit. Him losing Evans is going to hurt even more. But there's guys there. I don't know his first name, but Moore, the receiver, and Palmer. I think those two guys are up on the rise that can fill in shoes. And you still got Godwin. I call him Otto. The tight end. A couple of drops, but he looks like the real deal. He can run the full route tree almost, and is a good blocking tight end. Offensive line help, obviously, on the right side. D line, I don't know about the whole issue with White, was just a couple years ago was one of the best rising linebackers, and then this year he had issues with coaching and schemes and wanted to get a trade in the offseason, if you remember that, Brian. He played in and out, and somehow they still made the playoffs. I think that situation might need to be looked at in the offseason because that's a pretty good linebacker that a lot of teams could take. Secondary issues, you still have an all-pro in safety and Antoine Winfield Jr. The biggest thing I think for me for this team is that the division that they're in. That's what would entice me if I'm a coach or if I'm a player is that you have a good shot of making the playoffs. We don't know what the Saints are doing. Carolina's in a rut, and the Falcons. Falcons hired a coach that we'll talk about later. We'll see if that's going to work out because this is going to be his second stint. First time was an interim. That division is wide open. Like we said about the AFC South, we don't know what it's going to be next year. We don't know how this division is going to be next year. But I would roll with Baker. If there's a way you can work it out, Brian, where he can make only 30 to 35 million, I wouldn't have an issue with it. But
it's funny you mentioned. You know what his number is next year?
What?
2.3.
That's crazy.
So that's a strength, right? We talk about these teams that pay their quarterback so much and you can't fill the roster.
They're rolling with Baker.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They're rolling with Baker.
They have $47 million in cap space, right? And that includes the fact you've got Godwin at 27.5 at a cap number right next year, right? You're paying Russell Gage $13 million. Russell Gage right now is their seventh highest cap hit. So that's
and that was an awful signing.
Yeah.
That was a
I'm sure he'll be a restructure candidate too, though. I mean, you can't, I don't even know did he get hurt this year or he just disappeared?
I don't know if he played. I did think he just got outplayed.
Yeah. I think he was riding the bench the whole time, Tone.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. My point is that you're sitting really pretty right now because you have all this money that even if you're stuck paying him, that you don't care. It's contained.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just want to add one more thing, Brian, if that's cool. What Quig said was right on the money. I was going to say too. This would be the perfect time to get a Jordan. I'm not going to say Jordan Love, but a Jordan Love-esque type of player to learn under the system. Because there's one thing I do love about Baker. He's a team guy, and so he is going to teach these young dudes the way of the game. Is it a great mentor? Yeah. Is it a great guy that's played football that's been productive? Yes and no. I mean, I think he has a lot of heart. I don't have a problem rooting for him, but I also have issues with his when he was younger, when he was very immature. I'm pretty sure Tony can allude to that from his college days. But with that being said, I think he's matured in the NFL, and we saw it this year, and I'm happy for him. But I'm still going to go and draft a quarterback that can learn under the system and has actual potential to take over this franchise and for the long future. But Mike Evans is the X factor. I think all of us would agree. Wherever Mike Evans go, I don't think he's going to go back to Tampa Bay. But if he does, then I'm all in on Tampa Bay next year.
He strikes me as somebody who will take an incentive late and deal with a really good team because at this point in his career, he's made his money, just wants to win. Like that's just where I think that kind of ends up. He's not that he needs to take a pay cut by any means, but he might just take it for the right situation.
And guys, correction. Yeah, Russell Gage blew out his knee. That's right. He didn't even play this year.
Yeah.
Oh, he was hurt?
Yeah.
Was it torn ACL?
What's that?
Was it torn ACL?
Yeah.
Okay.
They will have to pay Antoine Winfield, so I think that'll be interesting because his contract is all void.
And that's what I'm saying. Like everybody's like, "Hey, Mike Evans is out of there," but he had a great season. He's in Tampa. He's going to be successful again. He's got the quarterback that allowed him a great season. Like I don't know if there's a
lot of targets.
There's obviously some spots out there where you go and be successful, but he's going to get paid either way, and they have the money to do it. So,
last but not least, the Buffalo Bills, who again are unable to get past Patty Mahomes and the Chiefs. We talk about teams that it gets harder when you pay the quarterback. Well, Josh Allen got his check, and look, you want to talk about it was a back and forth game. Again, I don't think that there's any shame in losing to the Kansas City Chiefs. Like it is what it is. It's unfortunate that it came down to the kick that it came down to. That's just Buffalo football in a nutshell. I don't know. I mean, it seems like Diggs is not as unhappy as we make him out to be. I don't know. It's like, are they a team that's just not going to get over the hump? Like they just can't get past the top team in the AFC, which has been the Chiefs. We'll see what they are today, but I don't know. I mean, I'm not a McDermott guy. Never was. Their defense ain't that great. I don't know. I think that the hate on Josh Allen is just it's lazy to me.
Yeah, it's tough to be a Buffalo Bills fan, that's for sure. It's just heartbreak after heartbreak. Can't get through, and it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure on the coach, a lot of pressure on the quarterback, and the players feel it. Like players like Diggs, he's had those moments in the playoffs where he's been walked off on. You know what I mean? And it's just like after a while, it's a mental thing. So I don't know what to expect in Buffalo. I don't know if they're going to make a coaching move. I think that's an option, possibly. I know they have to get better defensively. I know towards the end of the year, they were really banged up on that side of the ball, and it affected them. So, I like what I saw out of their running game. I thought their offense was a little bit better than the past, more reliant. That wasn't as more reliant on Josh Allen. I mean, even though he did still run the ball. I mean, Cook had a really good year. 2 good tight ends. So it's just tough for the Bills. Like you said, Ryan, it's the field goal. It comes back and gets them. And these plays against the Bills, against the Chiefs in the past, it comes back and haunts them. And it's tough.
All right, man.
Go ahead, Drew.
Sorry, quick. Sorry. All right, man. Brian, I'm gonna go on a rant. It's gonna be quick.
Go.
It's gonna be quick. It would be quick. Real quick. What is the definition of elite for a quarterback? Does accomplishments mean that you're elite? Accomplishments of winning playoff games, of winning MVPs, winning Super Bowl MVPs, making Super Bowl appearances, making all pros. Like, what is the definition of elite? And I feel like all of a sudden Josh Allen's under this scrutiny because he can't beat Patrick Mahomes. So that means he's not elite. I beg to differ. I mean, honestly, like there's probably 20 to 25 teams, 15 to 20. I'll be fair. 15 to 20 teams that would love to have him.
More than that.
I'm
way more than that.
Way more than that.
Okay,
yeah.
way more. Okay, well, I don't want to be.
I hear you. Yeah.
I think it's hilarious how people take wins and losses. Kurt Warner said it perfect on Twitter. You take wins and losses. That is a team stat. Okay, that is a team stat. Wins and losses. So if you're going to take that and put him underneath this umbrella of not being elite because he can't beat Patrick Mahomes, well, let's talk about the defense. Let's talk about the fact that Von Miller got paid $12 or $14 million and didn't even register a sack. I mean, it's the defense was decimated by injuries. They lost 4 starters, 2 linebackers, 2 corners, or 1 corner and 1 safety, I believe. I mean, they were put together with glue and bandages, and somehow they were still in that game. Yes, he made a bad mistake on the crossing drag route with Diggs in the front, and he wanted to throw to the end zone where he was disrupted by the defensive end, and his offensive lineman couldn't hold him up. If he doesn't get hit, that's a line drive shot for Allen to throw that all day long. We talk about the game where Gabe Davis went nuclear. 13 seconds. Defense couldn't stop him. Couldn't stop Patrick Mahomes. It's a multitude of defensive issues. Now, I agree with you. Josh Allen has been pretty inconsistent last year. I mean, got mollywopped against Cincinnati. But, I'm just sick and tired of hearing this. It's Patrick Mahomes. If you want to put Patrick Mahomes tier 1, I have no argument with that. Obviously, he's the best quarterback in the NFL. And you want to put everybody else in tier 2, fine. You want to put the Burrows and the Jacksons of the world, go right ahead. Put him tier 2. But to say that Josh Allen is an elite is crazy banana talk to me. It's crazy banana talk to me. It's just as a team in the direction that they're going with under Sean McDermott. I agree with you, Brian. I don't know what the direction is. How can you get over a hurdle? You went to the conference championship. You haven't been back since. I believe that was 2020, COVID year. They haven't been able to get over the hump. So what do? We talked about it all year on Game Winning Drive. Their window is shrinking. Is it? I mean, I don't know. I have to look into their team, but whatever they have is not working. So I don't know what it is. I have no idea. But my rant was about Josh Allen. I'm sick and tired of people saying he's not elite. He's elite to me. He's elite.
But go ahead.
I mean, listen, once you have such a long history of failures to move on to your next level, i.e. Dak Prescott, you get a lot of, you're going to get a lot of heat, and, it's a result-oriented business. I mean, if you got to tell me the top 3 football players to ever throw a football in the NFL, Dan Marino isn't that top 3. When you talk about top 3 quarterbacks, it's kind of debated. You talk about Brady, you talk about other guys, Montana, and then you get in debate, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's different, right? It's result-oriented. And Josh Allen, quite frankly, QBR wasn't that great last week throwing the football. No. They used it, he didn't break 200 yards throwing the football. A lot of factors going into that KC's defense, but I think a lot of it is like, if there was ever a time where you're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs and exercise your demons in the playoffs, last week was the week to do it. And guess what?
Agreed.
They didn't do it. And how would you like to be Scott Norwood this week when everybody, brings up your biggest failure 30 years later? I mean,
jeez.
And if even if he did make the kick this past weekend, I think everybody down there thought that, Patrick Mahomes is just going to walk down the field with a minute 30 left and win the game. I think that was our thoughts in most people's minds.
I was thinking.
They focus on the picks, right? The thing that always come to me. Blair loves to come to me about Josh Allen not being elite because he throws too many interceptions. Like, well, okay, you know what? Listen, if I was ever president,
he didn't throw any interceptions last week, did he?
That guy.
No, but I say, like,
No.
if I was president of the United States and I wanted to eliminate drunk driving deaths, I'd eliminate cars and booze, and that would fix the problem, right? So you can't tell me that just because the guy has this elite talent to be able to make plays that very few people can make, that on occasion the other team makes a defensive play against. Like, do you I go back to like Eli and Romo, right? Think of a dartboard. A dartboard is like the range of outcomes where the ball. Eli's dartboard was a lot smaller. Like, he was never going to be like the super reason that you'd win a game, but he wasn't going to lose it for you either. Romo's was a lot wider, right? You get those guys that can do very special things, and they can also blow up in their face trying. And that's a Josh Allen. Like, you take the good with the bad. Like, if you don't want him to throw interceptions, okay, then he should throw the ball less because he's trying to make a play. He is trying to use his God-given elite talent to do things that other people can't do. I will take that all day long. It's when you make horrible throws. Like, why are you throwing that? Like, that was stupid. Like, that doesn't always happen with Josh Allen, right? So Josh Allen, to me, he's personal preference 2 or 3 behind Mahomes, him and Joe. Like, that's where I am with it, right? So there's 30 teams that would take Josh Allen. No question about it. I think I don't see who.
Well, you're right. I'd take him if I was in Kansas City because I just trade him. So I mean, yeah.
Well, but my point is that, like, that is a guy that does not grow on trees. So really, the bigger problem now is how do you manage the fact that you did kind of put your roster together for this year? You got some big numbers to worry about. They'll have to figure that out. But I would much rather get rid of everyone around Josh Allen than get rid of Josh Allen. Like, I think that's a piece you can fix.
But here's the thing, though, Bri. And I think this is really what might spur a lot of change in Buffalo is Josh Allen and him forcing passes and Josh Allen making bad mistakes and Josh Allen trying to do too much to cause a turnover isn't what lost you the football game. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing that might scare Buffalo is like, you know what? Normally we lost because of, some mistake or trying to do too much or whatever. That didn't happen. And they still lost against Buffalo. So I mean, You're talking about maybe they're distracted by shirtless Kelsey or maybe or whatever, but you have to give Kansas City some credit too for that game because Valdez handling somehow caught 2 passes and that.
But Tony, that's my thing. That's my issue though. Is that you were making fun of MVS catching 2 passes, and I mean you had 2 touchdowns that were blown coverage.
Yeah.
So it's like those things are also on the defense. It's
I'm
not
not
good defensive planning.
That's what I'm saying.
You're talking about other people. Oh, I got you.
This is what's going to spur the change is because Josh Allen wasn't the reason why they lost the game at all.
I thought I didn't
he didn't turn the ball over. He didn't make bonehead mistakes. He didn't do anything like that. And they still lost to Kansas City because so you know what? All the excuses people have about bashing Josh Allen as not a leader, whatever like that. He has a lot of gunslinger in him. I said he's Brett Favre that could run, a lot of times, but Brett Favre won a lot of football games too, and none of that kind of stuff happened last week, and they still lost to Kansas City. So that should open up the Bills management's eyes real wide to say, listen, you know what? We got a running game with James Cook and Josh Allen. I love how they run Josh Allen. That's not an issue. You got two nice tight ends, that kind of stuff. You know what? But it's right. Kelce has been ghost almost all season, exactly, and he had his best year. Everybody was writing off Travis Kelce and and all this other stuff. And he has his best year, and it's best game, and it's going to shine a bright light on the Buffalo as it's not a Josh Allen problem, it's a Buffalo defense problem. It's a lot of missing holes, that kind of stuff.
I mean, just to add the two tight ends and all that stuff. I mean, I know he's hit and miss, but no Gabe Davis. No other wide receiver there to help Diggs. To help Diggs.
They listen. They scheme for Shakur more than they do Diggs.
Absolutely.
I mean, they might have
a Diggs issue.
Well, there's he doesn't win. Anthony, was Rex Grossman elite?
Absolutely not.
Rex Grossman played in the Super Bowl. Okay, so it's not that that is a lazy argument. It is a lot. It is very hard to win in the NFL, right? I mean, teams continue to do it, but it's just if Josh Allen were in the NFC, that team that he'd be on would be in the Super Bowl every single year. You forget the fact that we talk about the AFC is so loaded at quarterback. These teams, we were talking about teams making the playoffs. It's like a minefield. But the NFC, I mean, again, right now it's going to be either Brock Purdy or Jared Goff in a Super Bowl. So, if you were to take Josh Allen, just pick him up and drop him on an NFC team, I don't even care which NFC team it is. They're probably the favorite to go to the Super Bowl. Seriously, that's how good he is.
Josh Allen with the Niners. Oh my God!
Could you imagine? It's the same argument I get with Justin Herbert. Oh, Joe, what's Justin Herbert? How's he ever win a playoff game? Do you ever watch a guy play football?
Hey, you watch your mouth.
No, all right. I defend the guy. Don't yell at me.
I know.
I'm on your side. But I brought the stat up. Through his first 54 games, Herbert was 27 and 27. And if he puts up 27 points offensively, if the defense lets up 28, what's he supposed to do? I don't know. Josh Allen is the least of the Bills.
Those tides are changing, my friend.
I'm glad you brought that up. Right. So we move to the coaching carousel with a few high-profile hires, the biggest of which is Jim Harbaugh going to the Los Angeles Chargers, Dave Canales moving to the Carolina Panthers, and Raheem Morris taking over the job in Atlanta. We still have vacancies in Washington and Seattle. But first and foremost, I would just like to give my good friend Drew Trammell the floor to just let out the happiness and the joy and the emotion of having Jim Harbaugh take over as head coach, replacing that stupid idiot.
Quickly.
There before.
Love you, Quig. I'm not gonna talk.
He's gonna put on his Michigan gear.
He should. He should. I'm a huge Michigan fan still. Listen, dude, I'm excited. I'm happy. Look, me and Brian were texting nonstop, and I'm probably the most happiest I've ever been as a Charger fan. My wife doesn't even know freaking football, and she's like, "We got Harbaugh." I'm like, "Yeah, we do." She's like, "Wow." I'm like, I'm just amazed that you know that. I'm like, oh man, it's a good feeling knowing that Spanos' cheap ass was able to go and seal the deal. I was happy to hear the reports. I was constantly refreshing Twitter all day on Wednesday because it was reported on Tuesday that he was supposed to lead to Atlanta. Didn't happen. They kept him in the offices in LA, and they didn't want to let him go. And that's unusual. It's unusual for us to go for a big fish, and we got him. I know he's going to build this team the right way. He's a winner. He's a roster improver. I don't even know what the right word is because I'm excited. I'm happy. I definitely think it's going to change our draft strategy because I think he's going to go Brock at 5 if he's there. I think he should be. It's either Brock or Neighbors. I think he's going to go Brock. Bringing over Jesse from Michigan was huge, the defensive coordinator. And I hope Shaw is going to be our offensive coordinator. All connections to Harbaugh. It's a beautiful day. And, I love my brother Tony Quigg, and I know he's pissed. But, yeah, man, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I know. I'm excited, dude. I'm happy. And yeah, so good.
Listen, it's the right move for Jim Harbaugh. It's the right move for the Chargers.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into the Harbaugh to the Chargers and how that's going to be successful. It's more the state of college football. And 6 years ago, I would rather have been a Nick Saban or Jim Harbaugh at Michigan or Alabama.
Oh yeah.
And today, when I don't know what kid's going to be playing for me next year, I'm not. NFL, at least there's people are professional, and it's about money. It's about business. It's a structure. And you have contracts. College football doesn't have that. College football, you have your coaching contracts. The kids sign these NIL agreements with whatever team. They're there for a year. They transfer next year. I'm not getting a part of that. The reason why I stopped coaching high school basketball is because, it's a game that I'm not really trying to play. There's no loyalty in anything. And like they're saying, oh yeah, coaches can move and everything. Yeah, but that's their career. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a little different. And to a certain extent, the kids were allowed to transfer, but now it's just too many kids. I mean, kids are transferring before they, the one kid, I forget his name. He transferred out already after he committed. He was he was an early enrollee and already transferred out. The kid one of the kids from Alabama. I forget.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Alabama guy. Yeah.
They're all
Yeah.
bailing.
Yeah, and that's fine. And you know what? And we saw what Deion did with the transfers and everything like that. But you know what? If I'm Jim Harbaugh, or a successful coach, and Saban addressed this probably a week before he retired too. It's not the same. It's not. I do think the kids should be rewarded, but you also have to kind of treat them a little bit as far as like honoring their contract. And as scholarships are only 1 year, so these NILs can only be 1 year, so it's something that has to be changed. And then maybe they could kind of get.
We were talking about joking around that Caleb Williams would take a pay cut to go to Chicago.
That's the old adage from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and back in the day at UCLA. So
right,
it's Division I athletes have always been treated very, very well.
Yeah, I love Harbaugh. He's amazing. He's obviously a former Bear. I watched him growing up. He's a winner everywhere he goes. He develops quarterbacks. He works well with quarterbacks. So I can't see him really failing here. He's in a bit. He is in a division with Patrick Mahomes, so it's going to be a challenge. But I think it's going to. He's got good pieces. He's got Herbert to start, and I think that's a really, really good start.
David Jones, devil's advocate. It's good Alabama's can't outspend the other schools anymore.
Alabama was never the team that could outspend every school. Texas football could outspend everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You also have people like the Waltons and Phil Knight up in Oregon.
Real quick, Bills are officially promoting Joe Brady to full-time offensive coordinator.
Shout out to my twin Joe Brady.
Mm-hmm.
now I gotta go look. Now I gotta go look at him.
Every time they put every time they put them on camera, I get text messages.
1,000%. Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, that's not even one of the better pictures of.
That's the one I found quickly.
Because you're not going to see.
You fix that.
You're not going to find too many pictures of me smiling, but definitely not like that.
Life of a Cowboys.
Maybe if I had Josh Allen as my quarterback, it would.
Yeah, exactly. Life of a Cowboys fan is right. Any thoughts on Dave Canales and Raheem Morris?
Dead, lame duck hires. Lame duck hires. Both of them go into a bad situation. No quarterback. Carolina is an awful situation.
It's just
It's 2024. You're not allowed to use that term anymore.
The big thing for me out of all these hires, Brian, is that it's crazy how some people were predicting that Bill Belichick, that the game might be past him. I think that's the biggest takeaway I take from all these hires is that Atlanta, he had a second meeting with. I mean, why have a second meeting with the guy? Oh, wait, maybe it's just not a fit. And kind of find out the rumors that came out is he wants roster control.
Yeah, he wants too much power.
He wants too much power. Yeah, I know. So I think that there's an outside chance for Washington, but I heard Washington's going to hire Ben Johnson. So, I mean, obviously they can't make that decision, right? They can't make that decision until they're done. So, I mean, it's crazy. Now the reports came out this morning. He's going to go to television for a year and see what happens to the Champagne route. But it's a crazy thing to think that we're not going to have Bill Belichick next year with a headset and a hoodie on. I mean, he's been around all my child and teenage and young adult life, so it's going to be a difference, man. It's a huge difference next year.
He'll be back.
The hirings, like I said, the hirings in Atlanta, and for them to go to Raheem Morris when a lot of major news outlets said that Belichick was going to be the hire in Atlanta, and it didn't happen, which kind of surprised. But you know what, it's kind of crazy that they wouldn't give him roster control, even though he's been awful in New England with roster. That's one of the reasons why, I just think his last few years in Belichick's resume has been awful. I mean, coaching, hiring, and not having an offensive coordinator and having a defensive guy doing this, it doesn't show GOAT head coach and all this other bullshit. It shows that mismanagement and it doesn't really have things. And then seeing what he did with that roster. Plus, a lot of these younger players aren't going to want to play for him. That's been a wide thing that why players won't sign there.
1,000%.
I think the one thing that they might do would be Washington. I mean, the ownership's looking for a splash. They have a ton of money in that organization, and I think that could be the thing that they throw him out there. And you know what? If he screws up the roster, he's not going to screw up any more than it already is.
I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if the Sirianni thing doesn't work out this next year, which I think it won't. Bill, I wouldn't be surprised if Bill goes to Philly. I honestly wouldn't, because I could see that working. But I mean, I know a lot of people I think are in fantasy land. I just don't. I personally don't. I don't. Howie Roseman, all that stuff. Nah. That's why I don't think it's going to work in Dallas. The whole Bill's going to go to Dallas. He's going to wait till Mike fails next year. It's not going to work. There's two ultra egos that want full roster control in Jerry Jones. It's not going to happen. So he needs to go to a place where he can have those abilities and those privileges to have the roster control and to coach his team. That's why Quick said, I think Washington's a perfect fit for that because of the new transition in the ownership and the GM being Bob Myers or whatever the hell it is over there. I mean, it might work, but I don't know, man. It's just crazy. It's a crazy world we're living in.
So a couple of things. Supposedly what you hear, you take stock in it, is that Jeffrey Lurie is not a guy who wants to bring a Bill Belichick in. Like they never got over the whole cheating thing with 39 and whatever.
That makes sense.
Take it with a grain of salt, but that's what you hear, right? So I have a question for everybody. I kind of said this in jest in Outside the Box, which we should be joining today if you're not in, but a lot of truth is said in jest. In my opinion, the best quarterback situation in the NFC East is Washington, right? Yeah. Because you're not locked in contractually to anyone. I don't think the guys that are locked in contractually are very good, and I don't want to be contractually locked into any of them. They had the second overall pick in the draft, so it's Caleb Williams or it's Drake May, and you're going to get the guy in a rookie deal. So when I look at that, when I had said coming in that the Chargers spot was the most attractive coaching spot. Washington's not that far behind, given the situation, given the change in ownership, given the second overall pick, and the freedom to kind of shape the roster any which way, because it's new ownership coming in that wants to kind of like break it apart anyway. I think it's a very attractive job. But if I'm Washington, I'm not looking at Belichick of the guys available. I'm looking at Vrabel and the fact that Dave Canales and Raheem Morris, no disrespect to them is intended, but like, how are you hiring these guys when Mike Vrabel's available? I don't know. Like, and I'm not a huge Vrabel guy, but I would take him over them.
If they were to hire someone like Ben Johnson, and in my opinion, draft Daniels, I think Washington's would be is going to be a tough team, because now they have the 2 picks from the Bears in the second round. I mean, they have options in the draft also. So yeah, you're right, Brian. They're in a good spot. Yeah, but in my opinion, I think the Redskins should take Daniels. I like Daniels over May this year.
I think that's problem. Belichick's problem is he the Commanders keep calling and he doesn't know who the hell they are. I think the USFL team.
If Chicago didn't retain their head coach, I think that's the best spot for a new head coach to come into. But unfortunately, we'll see how he does next year. But yeah, I agree with you. Washington is also new ownership, and ownership is huge.
There are fights breaking out on the field between Kansas City and Baltimore.
There's all kinds of things.
Yeah, they're fucking with Justin Tucker.
So Kadarius Toney's been going off on his Instagram all morning, saying that they're lying on him and just sitting them out.
You know, I was.
They are, because if you look at the injury designation, you look at the injury designation, it says personal/injury. What is that?
Well,
that's his second shadiest injury this week. Besides that, Rich Embiid.
His ego's hurt.
Yeah. So all kinds of stuff going on right now.
Well, yeah, they started. Well, that's what I'm saying. Listen, Justin Tucker should have used that right leg and put it upside Patrick Mahomes' head. He would have had every right. And you know what? He should have. He should have took one for the team and laid out Patrick Mahomes.
Kelsey too. Start throwing shit.
Well, I'd rather punch Mahomes than Kelsey, because you have a better chance to winning. If you're gonna break your leg over somebody's head, break it over Patrick Mahomes.
The quarterback. Yeah.
Take him out. Listen, take him out the game. And you know what? If Tucker flew out off the handle and just attacked Mahomes, no one would have said that he didn't have the right to.
This is gonna be great. This is gonna be such a good game.
And he tried that shit with Janikowski.
I was told that Dan Quinn was already moving into the office in Seattle. What happened there? I thought that was a match. I mean, everybody was like, "Oh, Dan Quinn's gone. He's going to Seattle." I'm like, okay, fine.
I don't know what Seattle's doing. The report came out, was it yesterday, Brian, that they're looking into Baltimore and Kansas City assistant coaches.
I mean, if you're going to start taking assistant coaches, don't you want from teams that are winning?
Why not take Vrabel? Why not take Vrabel?
Right.
If you don't want Dan Quinn, go Vrabel.
Why is Mike Vrabel toxic all of a sudden? Where did that come from?
I honestly think that last game for Dallas really effed Dan Quinn's.
Yeah. Maybe. It's not the last game, Drew. It's the last 2 games.
Well, last 2 games. But I'm just saying. You remember how hot he was? Like, dude, this guy's leading the candidate for a hire.
Quinn to Seattle, the Legion of Boom. That's where he was. Listen, if anybody, Dan Quinn should kind of have some self-reflection, right? You're doing a good job in Dallas. You did a good job in Seattle. You're a defense coordinator. Stay defense coordinator.
Be a defense coordinator.
I agree with you.
And it's quite possible, if things go south early for the Cowboys, Jerry makes a hook on him, and Campbell could have the opportunity to kind of grab that job for at least an interim basis and see what kind of thing he could do. Mm-hmm. That would be like, listen, that's what I'm doing, because you already went to Seattle. And listen, Seattle's not a great situation. Geno Smith is a fraud, as you've seen. They're going to have to find something else. So it's like, I'd rather be the defense coordinator for the Cowboys than head coach for Seattle, just to
100%.
Yeah, like it's one of those things.
But
if you want to draw it to Belichick, right? It's more important that it's the right fit than it's the quick fit.
But if you're Seattle and you know this, you know that your team isn't on the uprise, why fire Carroll? It doesn't make sense to me unless you had a prime candidate to take over for him, which you don't. You don't. Like, Dave Canales should have took the job at Seattle. It would have been a lot better fit for him than go to Carolina. So it's just I don't know. It just doesn't mean, I don't know what they're doing.
I feel like Canales is being hired to be fired. Like, that owner flies off the handle a little bit, obviously. So
whenever I want to work for that owner anyways.
Right.
Piece of shit.
So there are 2 games today, 2 big games we need to break down. And first and foremost is at 3 p.m. and it is the AFC Championship game. The Chiefs visiting the Ravens. I had it at -4. I'm not sure if it's changed. Your over-under is now 44. Mahomes, Actually, I think it's 3-1 versus Jackson. I think my number is wrong there. I got to fix that. His 13 playoff wins is tied for 6th all time. Jackson is the first quarterback to lead his team in rushing and make the championship game.
I'm throwing a flag right off the bat. We just talk about Josh Allen. It's just because it's the Buffalo Bills, and it's not Josh Allen's fault. It's Buffalo Bills. And now you're saying Mahomes is 3-1 versus Jackson. I don't know. Did they ever play against each other on the field together? Because I'm pretty sure if Mahomes and Jackson tried to play one-on-one, Jackson's going to friggin' ice skate him. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure Mahomes can't cover Jackson.
It's a 3-1 record head-to-head. That's all.
You can't say that Josh Allen, it's not his fault. It's the Buffalo Bills' fault.
I didn't say it was.
And then when you start talking about a preview, say Mahomes versus Jackson. Mahomes is 3-1 versus Jackson. Because last time I checked, they don't play each other. It's the Mahomes, while he's on the Chiefs, is 3-1 against Jackson while he's.
I only have 200 characters that I can type.
Poor Brian.
You know what? That's great because the Ravens and Bills is a lot shorter than Mahomes and Jackson. So save your characters for that. It's your sensationalism hatred of
no, it isn't.
the MVP of the league. Two-time MVP of the league.
Mahomes has winning records against everybody.
Two-time MVP of the league, Lamar Jackson. It's the hatred you have against him.
I just called the first quarterback ever to lead his team in rushing game in the championship game. What did we do for you? I didn't lose those.
I love Brian. I love Brian.
Bullshit. We see through it. You know.
Hey, Brian, you always got quick to smile a little bit there.
Look, I should have. I'll have to go back and get a screenshot. That it happens once every 2 years. All right. Anyway, so about this football game that's going to be played in about 22 minutes or so. Again, look, I mean, the Chiefs find a way to win on the road. They're on the road again. They've been there and they've done that. Again, I think there's two teams, really good defenses. It is going to come down to who has a better game at quarterback quickly between Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, because that's probably the difference of the game.
It's going to come down to the better running game, if you ask me.
That could lead to Baltimore too.
Awful conditions out there. I think that Baltimore is going to be running the ball. Gus, Bus is going to be able to take some stuff. You got Lamar Jackson. He might go for $1 today. Lamar Jackson might go for $1.
Also, Jack.
He's going for $1.
Willie Gay isn't playing today. That's going to be a nightmare to try to stop Jackson. Who is playing today is Mark Andrews. And in the development of Isaiah Likely with Andrews, I mean, what do you want in a bad game with bad weather and everything like that? You want them short throws. You want your tight ends to be able to come out 2 tight end sets, maybe, and then you got, then it's going to open up for a running game too. This game, I love Baltimore in this game. I think that they're going to go out there and they're going to beat them up. Isaiah Pacheco, who's going to be the hope and dreams of Kansas City, the kid from Violin, New Jersey. We had a parade for him last year. Shout out to him and everybody's watching that's a fan of him. Great kid, runs hard. Love the way he runs. He's going to have the big game today if they're going to have to win, because I can't see.
A little banged up.
First of all, I can't see Valdez-Scantling having 2 games in a row where he makes 2 catches. I can't see Travis. I can't see this Baltimore team being surprised that Travis Kelce could actually catch the ball. And all this stuff and all this hype and everything like that. I hope Justin Tucker goes out there and hits 7 field goals. Because come on now. What is this, high school where the quarterback and the tight end stars of the football field are picking on the little fucking kicker? You know what I'm saying? What are they going to show him in the locker next? Screw that.
Yeah, and that's what I love, man, because this Baltimore defense is going to come out fired up today. I'm jacked for this game. I agree with Tony. I think Baltimore is going to win this game. They're going to cover the spread. I struggle right now with the over/under because I'm in a pool. I'm going to take the under. I'm seeing that weather. I think I see maybe a 24-17 game, something like that. But I see the Ravens just coming out and trying to run the ball, run it down their throat, and keep this a short game, keep Mahomes off the field. I love the Ravens today. I think they advance, and I think they cover easily.
Listen, dude, I am so pumped for this game.
Two good defenses. Two good.
Boy, you know what? Yeah, dude.
Smash mouth.
Listen, Bri. Kansas City is missing an important piece, and that's Thuney, and he is gone with a torn pec. That's gonna hurt. They also got dumbass at right tackle, who's good, Juwan. So it's gonna be those are the 2 areas that are going to be weekend for Kansas City. Clowney, we talked about it last week. Big pickup this year. He's playing great. I think that's going to add another degree for Baltimore. I think this is going to be a ghost game for Travis Kelce. I'm all in on Baltimore. He took my score, but I'm going to drop it off a little bit just to be different. 24-10 Baltimore. And I think Lamar Jackson's going to go definitely over $100. I think you'll have 2 rushing touchdowns. It's just going to be a big-time game for Lamar Jackson, for Harbaugh, for this organization. Just alone from Baltimore's defense is going to create so much problems and so much havoc in this game for Kansas City. Pacheco's a little banged up. We heard it all week. He's going to play. It was announced on Friday. That's the heart and soul of this, in my opinion, of that team. When he goes, the whole team goes, and I just don't feel that it's going to happen today. The receivers are not there for Kansas City, and you shut down Travis Kelce, you shut down that running game, you have a really, really good shot at winning this game. Lamar Jackson's a story this year. I'm rooting for him from a personal me. I'm rooting for him, and just for me as a wannabe analyst, I'm rooting for Baltimore Ravens to win this game.
So Brian, if Lamar Jackson goes out there and he wins this game, and he's the reason why they win this game, will you admit that he's a top 5 quarterback?
No.
Okay.
Fair enough. The top 5, everybody else is very different. That's okay. I'm not asking anyone to agree with me. It's just the way that I view the game.
I'm not looking for your clarification when we wear the Rangers hat.
That's fine. Okay.
I still love you. With all my heart, though.
I love you too.
The Ravens right now, they're just a better team overall in all aspects. I mean, I think it's a mismatch on their defensive backfield against these Chiefs wide receivers. You know, I like Rice. Don't get me wrong, great year, but I think it's still a mismatch in the back end. And I just think this is Jackson's year. I feel he's motivated. You heard the story about last week at halftime, so I think, and the whole team is going for him. So I think this is it.
So let's make it toward happy real quick and play the what if. Marvel has a great series on Disney called the What If, and they kind of change things around. It's pretty cool, you know. What if Mahomes goes out there and shreds his Baltimore defense? What if he does that? I mean, how are we talking about Patrick Mahomes? How are we talking? You know, because this is a Kansas City team that is plucked
for worst team.
They go into Baltimore and win after going into Buffalo and win. I mean, you beat Josh Allen, top 5 elite quarterback. Now you go and beat Lamar Jackson. You know, and Mahomes is the reason. But wow, that would be
Quig, I'm right in the way with you because I know where you're heading to this. Let me tell you something. I talked about this yesterday. If Patrick Mahomes is able to shred this defense, Brian Attard, Anthony, and Quigley, you could record this and put it on outside the sports box.
It is already recorded. Go ahead.
He will be whatever, you know what I mean. He will be in my personal top 3 all time if he's able to do that this year. If he's able to beat this defense with no receivers besides a young Rice that Ant alluded to earlier, and wins a Super Bowl. Oh, dude, there's no more conversations. He's leaping over Peyton Manning in my personal.
Let me ask you this question.
It's already there in my mind.
Let me ask you. Yeah. If the NFL could pick the winner here, who do you think they'd rather see in the Super Bowl?
Chiefs.
Well, because Taylor Swift.
Just everything.
Okay.
Well, come on, bro. You gotta bring that up. Come on.
So
I'm driving toward. I am driving towards a point.
I know what point you're driving to, but I'd rather watch Jason Kelce get shirtless and drink a beer.
The referee of this game is Sean Smith.
Yes.
In the last 3 years, home teams have won 40.8% of games that Sean Smith has refereed. The average referee, 55.4%.
Huge drop off.
Home teams have covered 49.4% of spreads the last 3 years, period. When Sean Smith's the referee, 37%.
I hate this crap.
I am telling you right now, if the NFL would absolutely love to see Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl for whatever reason you wish to assign to that. Okay. So if you don't think the home office is trying to get Kansas City there, you're not paying attention.
Well, there's two. So everybody talks about, and it's kind of been a catchphrase of the NFL scripted, right? And Dave Jones just kind of mentioned it as well. If Kansas City wins, it's the Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl narrative. If Baltimore wins, it's John Harbaugh, Super Bowl national champion narrative. There's so many interactions. I mean, when we started the playoffs, you've seen the Packers versus McCarthy. You've seen Stafford. You see these things, and there's always one way to tie something else in it to make it relevant. The thing that I'm getting there, and the when you see some numbers that are so off like that. I mean, does this guy just not like the home team's hotel situation? I mean, is he not getting a good bed and breakfast? I mean, why? What would persuade a referee to give it?
I read an article on this. I mean, there's there's different theories. I mean, this guy's not always surrounded by the same. They mix the staffs up. So that's not consistent staff around him. So I don't know if it's directed to him or the other refs they put around him, but it all rotates. So it's all been different staffs with him. So
right, is he the one actually throwing the flags? You know what I'm saying?
So I'll give you. So okay. So can I? We talked about Baltimore's defense getting fired up for this game. Maybe you make a late hit, unnecessary roughness penalty.
No, you're right. No, yeah.
Okay. If they could handpick it,
Well, what was the play when Mahomes he got hit out of bounds? What was that? He got hit out of bounds that year. That's something to
Cincinnati.
The Cincinnati game. Yeah. See, I mean that was
legitimately hit though.
Yeah. I mean anything like that.
And with all due respect to the three of you, because I respect your opinions a ton, I'm hearing a lot of the same things I heard last week about Buffalo, and I kept saying I think it's KC until it's not. I'm going to stick with this case until it's not. Okay, that's what I'm saying. So I'll be wrong, and that's okay. I'm wrong all the time, and it's great. But
listen, from a game standpoint, if they outplay Baltimore on both sides of the ball, then it's not scripted. It's
not
them having a better game plan. Like we're not giving enough credit to Spagnuolo, who's probably the best DC in the NFL that doesn't get talked about at all.
He is. But they've struggled against running quarterbacks.
Yeah, because he blitzes a lot. He plays.
But look at the second half, Brian. Look at this. Why didn't Josh run in the second half? Because they blocked the running lanes.
Yeah.
Chris Jones literally took a step back and said, "All right, bitch, I'm going to take the A and B gaps away from you, and I'm going to hold this guy, hold the center, hold the guard, and push him into the gaps where you like to run." That's why Josh was so fizzled in the second half. It's all game planning and adjustments.
Give me KC outright. Close game.
Plus 188, Brian.
KC outright.
Plus 188.
I don't blame you taking KC.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, it doesn't matter if it was Lamar Jackson and the 85 Bears defense. He's not taking the Lamar Jackson team.
Yeah, you're right.
Not against Patrick Mahomes.
Not against Patrick Mahomes, no.
The ghost of Refrigerator Perry and Richard Dent and everybody else is coming out there. You know what? And then and Jerry Rice and Randy Moss time travel and he are the receivers, and he's still taking Patrick Mahomes. Like he would literally take.
What up, Brooks?
If Lamar Jackson was on the Justice League, he's taking.
Who's the best player? Who's the best player on the field?
If Lamar Jackson was playing the Nazis, he's taking the Nazis.
No,
in a sweep.
I wouldn't go that far. Now, if they're playing the Eagles, 100%.
84% of the public is on the over.
What's that tell you? Chiefs in a low scoring game.
Take the under.
Listen. It wasn't. Listen, Brian Attard was in Orlando last week, and now you were watching all I saw on Twitter was, "Oh, here's playoff Lamar Jackson again. Here's playoff Lamar Jackson again." So it's not as if this narrative's not already built in. Okay.
What?
No, all I saw on Twitter with the first half of that Ravens Texans game was Lamar Jackson's terrible again.
Well, you gotta stop following Texans.
Well, that's why you don't watch a whole game.
Hey, I was in.
He was masterful in the second half.
In the second half,
he's not telling you to thread.
Full game, Brian.
He was on a Texans thread.
No, I was not. Unless Adam Schefter and his whatever. Anyway, neither here nor there. KC outright. NFC Championship game. One of these teams we thought would be there. The other one, not so much. The 3-seed Lions against the 1-seed 49ers. The Niners laying a nice round 7 over under 51.5. For Detroit, Goff led the NFL this year with 1,284 passing yards in the fourth quarter. The Niners 13-0 at home in the postseason against Detroit since 1976, and this is their NFL record 19th conference championship game appearance. You can look at this one of two ways, right? We all think Green Bay should have beat them last week, but they didn't. Detroit's here. If there's any team playing with house money, it's Detroit. It's Detroit, right? So the pressure in this game is raw on the Niners, right? They need to be better than they were last week. Now, Deebo Samuel's going to play. There is a reason the Niners are a 7-point favorite in this game. Thoughts?
Listen, to me, the Niners have the worst quarterback left in the playoffs.
They do. Sure. And he was an MVP candidate. Talk about that.
Yeah. I don't know. I look at this game and I see just as much talent on the Detroit Lions than on the San Francisco 49ers. So I think this is going to be a closer game than you think. I'm rolling with the Lions. I'm taking the +7. I'm probably buying a half point. I'm taking the +7.5. I like the over. I'd like to see the Lions win. I've kind of enjoyed watching the Lions all year. I think they're a really good team. I like their coach. I like their attitude. I like their roster. So I've kind of been on the Lions all year. I'm pulling for them to win today. So I'm rolling with the Lions. I think they got a shot. I really do. I don't think the Niners are really. I'm just not impressed with their quarterback play.
Brock Purdy's on borrowed time. I mean that what we said the other day, about, I guess it was yesterday, the day before went back, he just dropped the ball. Fucking Savage drops the ball. He should have caught that. Purdy. I guess Purdy just threw such a bad ball that Savage couldn't catch it or whatever the hell it was. But listen, but Purdy is on borrowed time. A lot of this stuff. But go ahead, Drew.
No, you can finish. Go ahead, brother.
Oh, sorry. Well, anyway, listen. This game to me, I like. I was going to pick the Lions if Deebo didn't play. I think that Deebo is a factor that shows that kind of allows them to do everything they want to do on offense. But Deebo is playing. He says he's playing. If he plays effectively, I do think the 49ers pull this out. I love the over in this game. I think Jared Goff is going to be able to score on that 49ers team. Mm-hmm. And I think, 49ers are 49ers. I can't. Yeah, Dave Jones is correct. They're not as talented on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, they have, Laporta has been nice, but you got Kittle right there. Sun God, I love him, but, with what 49ers have on that side, CMC is a huge step up. Even against Gibbs and Montgomery have been nice additions, but that's just a big thing. But and then offensive line and all that stuff, Sewell's developing, but he's not what they got over there compared to the 49ers. I just think that the 49ers are a team of well, that's the thing. It's going to be saying Deebo is actually playing, and he says he's not playing with any restrictions. They said he's not going to try to favor the shoulder. He's not going to hide the shoulder or anything like that. So if that is true and not just lip service, we'll probably find out very often in the game. So it's going to be interesting. I'd like the Anthony's pick as Lions +7. I kind of like them outright if Deebo wasn't going to play, like I said. I think the 49ers win this game. It would be a better matchup in the Super Bowl too. I don't think Lions, and I don't want to see a Lions, Kansas City Super Bowl at all. It's not that broad. You put up the 13-0 at home in the postseason versus Detroit. That seems like a lot of games to play against one team at home, especially Detroit. It's like almost every time Detroit's made the playoffs, they played because they don't have an illustrious history of making the playoffs either. So, and the other thing too, it's where's the stat that said Detroit? What, they haven't made it in since 1991? They haven't made it to the championship game, right? Is that correct? Yeah. Who was on that team?
Would you say what Lions team?
Barry Sanders was on the team, right?
Yeah, 91.
So the whole narrative of Barry Sanders was on good teams and all that kind of stuff is just ridiculous because they actually had a great offensive line too. So I'll just end that.
Was the quarterback Rodney Peete or Mitchell?
Probably Scott Mitchell.
I think it was Scott Mitchell.
I think it was Mitchell.
We talked about this.
They just did a documentary. I think it was Mitchell.
It was Perryman was the receiver, and I forget the other.
Herman Moore.
Herman Moore. Yeah, Herman Moore.
Oh man, you guys are really making me the defender of Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy and Jared Goff are same tier for me personally. I think Jared Goff has gotten a little bit better
Kind of insulting
Tuesdays in LA, but I think it's even keel for me on the quarterback play.
So let me stop you right there, George. Let me stop you right there. Brock Purdy on Detroit Lions, are they in your spot?
Yeah, because the NFC's trash.
No way.
No.
No way. If you put Brock Purdy in Jared Goff situation, there is no way they're in this spot today.
I disagree. So with that, I think for San Francisco, the defense is way better than Detroit's defense. I know I keep talking about Detroit defense being an Achilles heel for them, but they actually have outplayed what they were showing in the regular season. Aiden Hutchinson is a star. I think Jaguars are going to hurt themselves for years not taking him.
I agree with that.
He's 2 sacks, I believe, in the last 2 games. He's had 2 sacks each game in the last 2 playoff games. He's just a force. St. Brown needs to be the dog. He needs to be the guy that Jared Goff can lean on to because he already does. He needs to get open, create separation, and get this offense going to what it needs to be. I think both offensive lines are the same. I actually think Detroit's offensive line is such a story that people don't talk about it much. Sewell's been absolutely dominant this year at right tackle, and Ragnar is a guy. He's a man amongst boys. We saw him last week when he got his freaking ankle turned twice, and he still came out.
He still played,
beasting it up, dude. Like I love players like that. Detroit has a formula. I think that will work. A lot of heavy run, and throw in the play action, which is Jared Goff's bread and butter throughout his entire career. And I think Ben Johnson knows how to get the best out of him, and that's why I'm picking Detroit. I think Detroit's going to win this game. Deebo Samuel, we don't know what's up with him. I mean, honestly, like I said it last week, I think I just think sometimes he just comes up being fragile, and he doesn't want to play through injuries and doesn't want to be a dog. But then again, he comes out and he's a dog. So
he plays so hard, though. I think it's more reckless.
I know. I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's like a 50-50 for me, Quig. It's a playoff game. Like I understand if it was regular season, but I don't know. It's just like, what are we going to get today? It's just what are we going to get to from an offensive game plan against Glenn's defensive scheme? Like what are we going to see? That's the key factor for me is what kind of defensive scheme Glenn is going to come up with to go against San Francisco offense. I know what Detroit's going to do, and it's going to be a heavy dosage of Montgomery and Gibbs. Gibbs is a natural talent. I mean, it's just the way he moves, the way he gets this offense going. He's a heartbeat to me. But it's Laporta, all these cats. Detroit's offense is loaded, so it's just going to be. Honestly, Brian, I hate to be that guy, but I think it's just can't Jared Goff do enough? Can he be the game changer that he needs to be?
And Goff knows the Niners. Well, Goff knows the Niners being in that division as long as he was.
Well, last time these two played, it was a big. I mean, I think it was 1 or 2 years ago, but a lot of points scored, a lot of numbers put up. It was a shootout. So I think it's going to be the same way.
Yeah, I'm going to go. My guess is it's going to be 30-27 Detroit in overtime kick.
I like it. I'm rolling with the Lions.
This game was tough for me, man.
Eminem at the Super Bowl, not Taylor Swift.
I'll leave you with this because we're getting up to 3:00 here. If you happen to be like me and you like the Chiefs and the Niners today, if you take them both to -2.5, the parlay is +300. Do that information what you will.
Nothing.
It's fine. All right. Kids, enjoy the games today. Let's have some fun. It's going to be a good day for football. On behalf of the boys, thank you all for watching the pregame show today, and we'll catch you, I think, for Super Bowl Sunday.
That's it.
Let's go.
Have a good one, John.